It's springtime, and that means it's time to get the boat out of storage and get it ready for this season. So I'm going to go over everything that I do with the trailer and the boat to make sure that you have a list to check to make sure that you have a successful summer or a successful season. We're going to start up here with the jack, and all these steps should only take you maybe a couple hours to do. We're going to get this jack ready by making sure we grease it up. So we're going to run it all the way up, clean the rod off, and then re-grease it, run up and down a couple times, and then we'll move on to the next step. And I'm also squirting some lubricant. I'm using some Kroll. You can use WD-40, PB Blast, or whatever. And I've put it down here into this. So that way it keeps this kind of lubed up. You can see all the rust and stuff coming out there. So that's going to work that down in there. I'll keep this thing from being squeaky. I just kind of rub the grease all over there. We're going to run it down. You'll notice that it'll start to push all the grease off. So we're going to, load it and reload it and clean it off as we work through the process. But this is already so much smoother. Okay, so really what we're doing is we're trying to get the grease up in here into the tube. And so some of these jacks will have actual grease fittings on them. This one does not. But we're gonna do this one more time. You can see a lot of the grease is gone. Some got pushed down. There are spots where it doesn't even accept the grease. But we're gonna do this one more time, and then we'll clean this off. So that way it's just not, you don't wanna just be touching this and have it all messed up all the time. So we'll clean it off, but at least that way we got as much grease up in here as possible. And then I'm just going to take this grease off of here, put it back in my grease thing, and that'll be that. We'll be able to clean this off. There we go. Nice and clean, get back there. Get that cleaned off, get our cable cleaned off. That's that. Okay. Beautiful. Now I got a lot of grease on there. You can either leave it on there, you can wipe it off. Totally your preference. I'm gonna wipe all this oil off of here. But way better. Not near as squeaky, and it's gonna last a lot longer and give us less troubles this season. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean all this grease off. I'm gonna wipe that off to save that grease. But next thing we're gonna go is check these chains. These are all good. Nothing, nothing really to mess with here, but sometimes these will get rusty. So just check your chains. Make sure your latch is working good. You can oil this as well. Squirt some PB Blaster, some WD up into here. And that'll keep this functioning well throughout the year. Next up are the tires. So two things that we're going to want to do here. One, if you hopefully you have buddy bearings where you've got a grease fitting here, your caps. I have nice caps that screw off and on. So these will just screw on and off. They got an O-ring, protects them. If you got buddy bearings, it's just a rubber thing, you can pop it off. Or other caps, you just hit them with a hammer and they will pop off. Make sure they don't screw on before you start hammering. But we're gonna grease this fitting here, which is gonna grease our hubs. If you don't have grease fittings, then you kind of got to take it off and repack your bearing, but that's a whole different story. Luckily I don't have to do that, and hopefully you're not still doing that. But we're gonna inspect our tires. Here, these are starting to get a little bit of dry rot, but they're going to be good for this season for me. But you're going to look and make sure that you don't have too much dry rot depending on how far you got to go, or else you're going to be risking having a blowout. But we're going to grease this fitting, and then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to check the tire pressure. We're going to make sure we have enough pressure in our tires, and then we're going to top them off with air. Depending on your tires, they're all different. Somewhere on this tire it will give you a PSI of how much air to put in the tire. Sometimes it's 45, sometimes it's 53, sometimes it's, so for me I got 60 PSI cold here. So Every tire is going to be different based on your trailer. You just look for that number and go off the cold, and then we're going to top off the air, and that will be that. You don't have to go, like for me, I'm not going to go all the way to up to 60. I'll probably do 50, 55, and that'll be where I'm going to leave it. So let me grease this and then put my cap back on, and then we will add the air and move on to the next thing. Okay, now something to note, when you do this, you notice I got a bunch of grease that's all pushed out. That's all fine and dandy, we can leave all that there. But on the inside, you need to make sure that you aren't pushing a bunch of grease out the back of the bearing here, because if you are and you don't clean that off, when you go down the road, it's going to fling that grease onto the tire, which is then going to sling that all over your boat, which you do not want to have to deal with that. So out here it's good because we're going to cover that with the cap, and it keeps our cap nice and greased up, so it makes it easy for us to remove next time. But other than that, make sure you get the back cleaned off. Just under 50, so I'm going to put a little bit of air in here. About 55. I'm good with that. Let's go ahead and back the truck up. We're going to check our trailer lights to make sure they are working properly. Click our hazards on and turn my lights on. So light good, light good, light good, light good. Light good, blinker good, light good. Light good, blinker good. Trailer lights, check. Oh, on the bottom, yep, all three of them bad boys are working too. Good to go. Tires are good. So the last two things to check on the trailer are going to be our strap here in the front. I'm going to make sure that this is not busted or all messed up. Make sure this is all working good. You can come in here and PD Blast or WD-40, lube this up. Same thing as we did here. We're going to put a little bit of oil on there, but main thing, I want to look at this strap, make sure that this is not fraying and going to be a problem later on, or else we could change that. And the other thing, which is another strap, that is these straps back here. But you should generally, you take these on and off, and you undo that strap in the front every time you use the trailer. So it's one of those things that if you'll notice it pretty quick and change it right away. So on that, registration. Let's move on to the boat now. So I'm going to uncover the boat, and we're going to go through the boat and do all of our checks on the boat to make sure we're set up for a successful season. All right, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is charge up our batteries, or because I have lithium batteries, all I need to do is make sure they are charged up. So if you have a lead acid battery and you have not been charging it, put it on trickle charger just to bring it up. But for me, I don't have to do that because I have lithium ion batteries, and I can just look on my phone. My trolling motor battery here, 26.6 volts. I got 86% on that bad boy, so I'm good to go there. And then on my house battery, it looks like I'm sitting at 78% idle, 13.3 volts, 78%, good to go. So my batteries are good to go. I could charge up my house battery just a little bit, but other than that, yeah, my batteries are all charged up. I can move on to the next thing. Now, if you have a lead acid battery that is a maintenance battery, that means the tops of the batteries will come off. Make sure you take those off and top them off with distilled water, just to make sure that when you charge them, they hold the charge. If they're dry, they won't hold the charge. Once you've made sure that your batteries are all charged up, the next thing you want to do is check your bilge pump. So this is going to be a battery off test here because we want to make sure that our float switch is working properly. So with your battery switch off, come in here to your bilge, hit your bilge switch. All right, so I'm good to go there with my bilge pump. That is working properly without the battery being on, so that means my float switches will go on good. So let me turn my battery switches on and we will go on to the next test. Pop this bad boy open, bing bing, turn my batteries on, get that good to go. All right, so with the battery switches now on, I want to go through and double check all of my switches to make sure that all my components, all my lights, everything are working before I go any further. So we're going to start with the horn. Horn's good to go. Bilge pump. Bilge pump's working good. Let's go with my live well. Live well's working good. Good to go there. My courtesy lights. All right, courtesy lights are on. Courtesy lights are on. Courtesy lights are on. So my courtesy lights are good. Let's go with my navigation lights. All right, so, and my nav light's good. I need to get my anchor light to check the anchor light. So I'm gonna skip my anchor light for now. I'll get that in a minute. So all these are good. GPS, make sure my GPS is going good. Turn that on. That's coming on. While I do that, I'm gonna turn my accessories on. All right, so I got charts. That's good. Sonar. This seems to all be working. My navigation. Let that sync up. In the meantime, I can make sure that my charger's working. I got the red light there. Plug my phone in. Boom, 91%. So that is charging. So my phone charger's working. Got the green light there. This is starting to sync up. It's giving me a water temp, giving me my battery volts, 13 volts. So that's working. It's just taking a minute. Radio, make sure my radio works.
And of course, the fifth chef was spared for Jonathan to see.
All right, and that is radio working. So the radio is good to go. So I'll check my charge ports, and once I check the charge ports, then I'll know those are good. Looks like my GPS, finally got my GPS fix. Water temp, obviously I'm not in the water, so that's not gonna work. If I go to my menu, let's just go and check out some, let's go back. Let's go use navigation info. Let's look at my tides and currents. Let's look at the tides. We're looking at Sebastian River. All right, so that's giving us our tides. So our GPS, all that stuff is working good. Boom, that's good. Accessories good. Everything is good up here on the boat. Let me make sure that the trolling motor is working. Trolling motor's on. Just need to plug her in here. So that's plugged in. Turn the controller on. We're going to agree to that. Motor not found. I need to. Oh. Helps when you turn the trolling motor on. Motor stowed. So let me move this in here. Tighten that up. All right, now that that's down, I can turn it on. I can move it back and forth. So that's working good. Let's turn this up. Get some speed going. Turn the prop on. Prop's working. Prop off. That's going good. So trolling motor, good to go. Well, I forgot about one thing that I forgot to do, and that is to lubricate the shaft on the trolling motor. You want to use like a water-based or a heavy-duty silicone, something like that. You don't want to put like WD-40 or an oil-based product on here, but definitely put some kind of you know, silicone spray or something on here where you can lubricate it. I've heard people use other kinds of oil, but for me, just the silicone's good to go. You just don't want WD-40 or something like that on there. That's not going to be good. So you just want to spray it on a rag, and we can wipe it on. And once you get that boom, that's going to help lubricate your trolling motor, keep it from sticking, and ensure that it lasts for a long time. And you're also going to want to make sure that you check all of your safety equipment. That means check your trailer registration, your boat registration, check the dates on your fire extinguisher, check the dates on your flares, as well as make sure that all your safety equipment is on the boat. Things like your life jackets for every person, the throwable, a whistle, or make sure your horn works, the fire extinguisher, the flares, the registration. Make sure all that stuff is on the boat, so that way if you ever get pulled over, or when you get pulled over, you have all that equipment and it is all up to date. So it's a good time at the beginning of the year before you take the boat out to make sure that all that stuff is up to date. And if it is within, you know, say it's going to expire in June or something like that, at least boom, you looked at it, you saw it, you know, so that way when you're out on the water, if you did get stopped, it wouldn't be a surprise to you. You can fix that problem before it ever becomes a problem for you. Okay, so I know my trolling motor's good. I know every one of my switches, all my lights, all my pumps, all that stuff is good. All my electronics are good. Now we need to move over to the engine, and we're going to want to start and run the engine and make sure that it starts, steers, shifts, and idles properly before we even head to the ramp. And then if you have not serviced the engine, which most people service the engine at the end of the season, so if you have not serviced the engine, this is going to be the best time for you to go ahead and service your engine before you hit the water. But if you serviced it at the end of the year, then that's going to be good to go. I would also say, just like we grease the trailer, you're going to want to grease your steering. You're going to want to grease your steering tube, and then make sure that that stuff, all these grease points, are greased on the engine. But you should have done that at the end of the season last year, whenever you put the boat away for storage and service the engine. All that stuff should have been done. If it's not, at least now you know. Make sure you do that stuff before this season, so that way all the grease and all those points are already greased before you even hit the water. Primer up. Yeah, there we go. Nice primed up. And let me put the muffs on there. I know I put it to the flush attachment, but let me put the muffs on there and then we'll start and run this thing. So clearly I have a problem here because I had the lanyard and this out, and my engine's still running. Okay, well, that is that is pretty insane. I have no idea what just happened there. I literally have zero idea what just happened, so I'm gonna leave it at that. So this is exactly why we run it on the hose. I didn't have any telltale. I pulled the hose off my telltale and I got nothing coming out of there. So can you not see that? Yeah, I got nothing coming out. So let me it's not working. Oh, there we go. All right. Bam. Just like that. We got our telltale back, so now we can go ahead and start and run this. We'll go ahead and start and run it again. Running beautiful. Telltale's good. We're gonna let it idle down. All right, so we've idled down. What am I at with my oil? Oil level's good. I probably need to top that off, but let's go ahead and shift it. Shift, we're good. Back to neutral. Back to neutral, we're good. Idling smooth like a puppy dog. What's this? Tack reading 7. That's over there working. All right, we're gonna reverse. Good to go. Shifting good. Okay, that's good. Our cutout there is good. That's good. Fuel gauge, we're gonna talk about that in a second. So that's all good. Now the steering, back and forth. That's smooth as butter. Back this way, smooth as butter. Trim, good to go. Trim, good to go. Now let's see if it turns off. Okay, cool, she turned off. Whatever that was for the first time, that was crazy, but boom. Beautiful. Idling like a champ. Now, even though I'm steering really good, I'm gonna probably go ahead and I'm gonna grease this fitting here. I'm gonna grease this fitting here. I'm gonna grease the fitting on this as well as on my steering tube, just because you want to make sure that stays greased up and clean, or else your steering will get stiff. So that's it for the engine. I can put this back, cowling back on there. I'm good with the engine. It starts, idles, pees, shifts, trims up and down. So we're good to go with the engine. Now, one other thing that I wanted to make sure that you do is key on, you always want to check your fuel gauge. So this one, very, very important. I'm at half a tank now, so whenever I go and run the boat, or whenever I fill it up, I'm probably going to go run the rest of this fuel out for the beginning of the year. And once I get rid of that fuel, then I'll fill it back up. But you want to, first time that you run the boat and first time you fill it up, make sure you monitor that to make sure your fuel gauge is working, because that is very important to make sure that you note if that's working or not. And the last couple of things, if you have a charger on your boat, now's a good time to go ahead and plug the thing in and confirm that it is working. For me, I have an indicator here that tells me, and then also I have my phone that I'll pull out and make sure it's charging, but I'm gonna go ahead and let that charge up my trolling motor battery. But if you do have an onboard charger, now's a good time to plug it in and then verify it's charging, which means either one, if you have lithium batteries, you check your BMS to make sure that it's going up. If not, you need to get a voltmeter out and put it on your batteries, so that way you can double check and make sure that they are charging. Depending on what kind of engines you have, for this one you can turn on. For me, I can't, because this one, you know, it gives me limited data for these. But if you've got like Merkers or something like that, or you can turn on your GPS and get the battery voltage from there. So when you plug it in, you turn your GPS on, you go to the volts, and if it gets above 13, then you know that your charger is charging. But that is just something that you want to make sure and verify that your charger is actually charging, not that you plugged it in and then didn't really check if it was charging or not. Now, the last thing that we need to do before we call this quits is, this is the perfect time to clean and wax the boat. All right, so now the last thing that you want to do before you go and start using the boat for the season to make sure it makes for a successful season is go ahead and clean and wax the boat. So normally I've been using this for many, many years. This is just a Colonite Fleet Wax. This is a Carnauba based wax, but I'm actually going to be taking this off the boat and I'm going to be trying out some of the Stark stuff, which is polymer. The big reason for that is that in Florida, Carnauba wax, from what I understand, it starts to melt at 105 degrees or something like that, which just underneath the cover right now in April, it gets to 105 degrees. So this won't melt off the boat until like 200 some degrees. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm going to be putting some polymers on there. I'm going to make a separate video for that, but just wanted to make sure that you know that right now is the best time to go ahead and put a coat of wax on your boat, or ceramic, or whatever you do for your maintenance program for your boat, whether that's regular wax, Carnauba, whether there's a polymer blended wax, or whether you have ceramic coating on your boat. Now's the best time to go ahead and put one of those coats on it, so that way as you begin to use the boat through the season, it's going to make it way easier rather than just go splashing the boat and then wanting to pull back out and then start to protect it, because gel coat is very porous, and after it's been sitting over the the storage season, the wax and everything else has been breaking down off of the boat. So best time to do it is before you splash it for the first time, just to clean it, put the wax on there, and you're good to go for the rest of the season. Now, those of you that missed it, I'm going to be making a link. Those of you that are in the school program, you have the best ability to see all this stuff, because I'm going to put a list of all these things and these checks in there. You have that resource to you. Anybody that has not checked out the school program, definitely check that out using the links in the description below or the pinned comment, because we do have all kinds of resources, from discount codes on parts to discount codes on cleaning supplies like the Stark. We've also got different spreadsheets for your maintenance, as well as other documents that we make, and will help you do any kind of project that you have on your boat, including any one of these steps that you might be doing while you get your boat out of storage. If you come across an issue and you want some help or some guidance with it, go ahead and check out the school community. It is a free trial for right now, so check that out, and we'll see you guys next time.